So, I just rewatched all of One Piece in the span of roughly 2 months. Bro, you really love life like 1 million episodes. Go touch grass, bro. Is what you're probably thinking. But just hear me out for a sec. And I know most people are probably thinking, you're crazy, the anime's pacing is so dog shit, just read the manga, you f***ing loser. Well, I'm here to say that what if watching the anime, live action, and reading the manga perhaps could be the meta to catch up with One Piece, seeing how most people are in awe with the latest animation, and of course the live action as well. People just want to catch up but either don't want to read 1,000 something chapters, nor do they want to watch 1,000 something episodes that adapt like half a chapter of the manga. To be specific, there's a way to watch the anime without that awful pacing of the original anime, and with the bonus of cutting off the fluff anime ads, such as impact shots or reaction shots to certain scenes. And you also get the bonus of diving into the manga too, so you get a feel for both the anime and the manga. This method of viewing One Piece would consist of a little fan project titled One Piece. It's basically a group of people who dedicated their hearts and souls to cutting down One Piece into a more digestible series. As described in their website, One Piece is a fan project that recuts the One Piece anime in an endeavor to bring it more in line with the pacing of the original manga by Eiichiro Oda. The team accomplishes this by removing filler not present in the source material. This process requires meticulous editing and quality control to ensure seamless music and translations. Although with this sounding good and all, there is a controversy that surrounds it since people are divided on the filler scenes being essential or just worthless, and there are just heavy debates on missing out on the adventure you experience along the way. But to be honest, viewing One Piece like this is up to your own discretion. I'm just a little bit weird. I wanted to experience everything. As for the main reason why I even made this video is due to the amount of One Piece fans that are coming from the live action, whatever they see online. And I want to give them a way to perhaps experience One Piece by diving into it myself. Just the thought of rewatching all these episodes is already making me have regrets. But I know it'll be worth it in the end. I mean, it's been 10 years since I've last seen previous arcs. The One Piece website states it's 45% faster than watching the original. Plus, with the live action, you raise the percentage to maybe roughly around 50%, give or take. Since I've already seen this series, I'm pretty much caught up, so I just wanted to try out this really goofy way of consuming One Piece. But hey, it's better than skipping Skype or Thriller Bark just to get to the more exciting parts of the series. You're no better than those people that skip part 1 of JoJo, you an animal. I'm also going to be using the option for Telegram, since I'm not about to spend like 20 plus hours downloading each individual episode. I don't even know if I have the space, since most games dropping these days require like 100 gigabytes and more. To begin this little guide of mine, the live action would be the general starting point and is the method I used. It adapts all of East Blue, Romance Dawn, Orange Town, Syrup Village, Bratier, and Arlong Park. Objection! Sure, you can argue that the live action makes some changes, like cutting characters, certain scenes getting removed, characters being introduced way earlier, such as Garp. But the story beats are there and it hasn't changed too drastically. So realistically, someone can legit just pick up the anime directly after that arc. And so, I'm here to test that theory since I'm too lazy to watch it from the beginning to end, that watching One Piece from the live action and beyond could potentially be a good way and a lazy way to catch up to One Piece. But if you're a super One Piece purist and absolutely need to watch everything, no cutting corners, there is an option to watch the anime or just watch the episodes of East Blue, which is an OVA that pretty much retells all of the East Blue saga. And it's about like an hour or so, or you could just read the manga. Regardless, it'll be a similar experience and the live action is a pretty solid starting point. There's also one for Skypea too, but as I said, it's on you, and to be honest, I'd rather just read it. With this being said, here's my journey of rewatching One Piece, and a potential guide maybe? The Weebinator official watch guide. So I began my journey pretty much the day the One Piece live action dropped, which was August 31st. To be honest, when the live action dropped, I did take my time with it because I really wanted to give myself time to process everything. So I watched 2 episodes the day of, but the next day I was off work. And while someone with that much free time, you would typically be productive, go to the gym, work on homework, clean the house, etc. The list goes on, but I didn't care and I spammed the out of the live action, which was about 6 hours or so. And like everyone, I was pretty impressed with this adaptation. So from here I embarked on the epic journey to rewatch all of One Piece. Naturally, after Arlong Park, you would head to Logtown. And from here on out, I mainly used One Piece, so from the beginning of Logtown all the way to Drum Island, it was solely One Piece. Adding up the runtime of the live action and whatever you just seen from the anime, you're about around 13 hours and 36 minutes, which to be fair already is off to a good start since those arcs are relatively long in themselves. And you're gonna realize you grinded through a lot of fucking episodes. Hell, I didn't even notice I spammed through it until I reached Drum Island and I realized I was in Alabasta. Once I reached Alabasta, I noticed that at the time of the recording, Alabasta has 15 episodes they currently have adapted into their format. So referring to the guide that is pretty well crafted, it states here that from a certain time code, at episode 121, you continue all the way to 130. But to be honest, I kind of felt lazy and it was only a little bit, so I read the manga for this section. So from chapters 199 all the way to chapter 218, it took me about 1 to 1 hour and a half or so, maybe less. I'm a pretty fast reader, so I'm pretty sure it was roughly around an hour. So moving on, Jaya to Skypiea. Jaya is also one of those arcs that are complete on one pace, but Skypiea still needs some work to be done on. And so I did the same method. I read the manga once the One Piece episode stopped. I went and read chapters 247 to 303. As for this, it took about 5 hours or so, I believe, since, I mean, this is basically the whole fucking arc, and I had to read it, but it was enjoyable. I skipped the filler arc. I know it's good, but One Piece doesn't even have it adapted, so I just decided to skip it. From here, we hit Long Ring Longland, the most despised, quote-unquote, filler arc, and luckily for this one, it's fully One Piece, so easily it can be seen there. And so we hit Water 7 and Enies Lobby, my personal favorite arcs. I was honestly excited to rewatch One Piece just to hit these 2 arcs again. It's been so long since I remember these arcs, so I wanted a refresher pretty much. I could go on, but you'd probably turn into a fossil when I'm done. As for Water 7, we run into the same dilemma as Alabasta and Skypiea. One Piece only has 13 episodes and you would have to return to the anime and watch episodes 250 to 263. But I also read this too, taking me about 1 hour to read the remainder of Water 7. Now we have another long arc. I mean, Water 7 was long, but Enies Lobby is a whole different beast. Luckily, this arc goes pretty smooth, and pretty much everything is on One Piece, so luckily for me, I can just sit back and watch the rest up until Impel Down. And then once finishing Impel Down, the guide states to watch episodes 453 to 456. And I didn't mind watching these since, I mean, it was only 3 episodes of the original anime anyway, so it didn't really take too much time out of my hands. As we move up, we continue all the way up into post-war, and we're pretty much done with pre-time skip. Marineford and post-war are adapted beautifully. They are pretty much cut, and so we pretty much already watched 500 episodes or so with just One Piece and some of the manga alone, which is honestly pretty crazy to think about. In my current watch time for just pre-time skip alone, it is roughly around 84.9 hours. That's roughly 3 days and 12 hours of just consecutively watching One Piece. And we haven't even hit post-time skip yet, which currently gapped pre-time skip in runtime so far. So we begin from Return to Sabaody, and since One Piece has been pretty up to date with their New World arcs, you can pretty much go from Dressrosa all the way to the latest arc. Wano. But obviously, since Wano is still ongoing and since the team has so many arcs to adapt, Wano is still a work in progress. But from here, post time skip runs me about to 67 hours, and that's just One Piece alone. To be honest, I had initial thoughts of reading the manga for Wano, but I had previously read the manga and never got around to watching the anime. So I watched all 116 episodes that were left to catch up on at the time of the recording of the video, skipping the intro and outros. course, we reached the final runtime to my little One Piece speedrun to 7 days, 19 hours, 5 minutes, and 4 seconds, which translates to 187 hours. And that's only to be up to date with the anime. That's not even including whatever is happening in Egghead and beyond. Now, comparing this runtime to the current anime, start to finish, fillers included, it would be roughly around 410 hours, which is a drastic drop in time. That's basically cutting it down in half, which is just crazy to me. So basically, as mentioned previously, so in about 2 months of just casually watching One Piece whenever I could, after work, after school, whatever, I successfully caught up to the anime. And take note, if only reading the manga and going under the assumption you have read each chapter in about 8 minutes, it perhaps can take you about 146 hours. So that's an option for sure. This is just live action, anime, and manga, using all three to mix and match. Believe it or not, there are some pros and cons that I came to realize during this experience. But if you don't want to get spoiled here, which honestly, they're pretty minor spoilers, here's your one and final warning. But if you're still here, I hope you're caught up because you should experience this yourself. But if you don't care, you snooze, you lose, buddy. To start off, I mean, the live action was pretty solid. The cast and world felt like One Piece. And I don't like complaining a lot, but we are missing essential characters such as Hachi, Johnny, and Yusaku. Although Johnny and Yusaku don't really make a huge difference, Hachi, on the other hand, I feel is pretty important. He gives Zoro his first major fight, and he shows up in Sabaody. And if you follow this method, and you're catching up to One Piece, you'll probably be confused as to who Hachi is. I believe through the flashback presented, it's more than enough to fully introduce Hachi. There's always the option of watching the One Piece version of Arlong Park, or the OVA. Moving away from the live action, the arcs that follow, I gotta say, feel even better than before. One Piece does a really good job with these couple of arcs. From Loketown to Drum Island, these arcs feel pretty well paced, and honestly are better than I remember. That's probably due to me watching these arcs when I was like 10, so I didn't really pay attention. Alabasta was great, even though One Piece hasn't fully adapted it. But what we have so far is pretty great. You of course would be missing filler arcs and some pretty cool filler episodes, but I believe it's worth it, since the manga doesn't contain this. There are also several corrections the team has made, such as recoloring Marco to make him look like Marco when he was first introduced, which is a major one that I can note. This brings me to a personal highlight of mine, which is Thriller Bark. Not gonna lie, I'm a Thriller Bark hater, or well, I just hate how unnecessarily long it was. I mean, Long Ring, Long Land was dragged out. To be honest, it is a little bit silly, but Thriller Bark just felt like a slog. I hate Gecko Moria, he's freaking nasty. But One Piece really made me enjoy this arc more compared to back then. Every episode flowed so smoothly, and if you refer to the episode guide provided by the One Piece team, it goes from 1,080 minutes to 539 minutes. So you save 541 minutes, which is absolutely insane, seeing how big of a difference it really was. As for minor setbacks, I noticed some arcs such as Long Ring, Long Land have very noticeable cuts. To the naked eye, it wouldn't be noticed, but for some dumb reason, my brain noticed it. But it didn't bother me. Most of the early New World arcs feel like this as well, but rest assured the One Piece team is working on redoing most of these arcs. And when referring to the episode guide, the team labels arcs based on completion, work in progress, or to be redone. Most of the arcs that have these noticeable edits will eventually be fixed, so there's no need to call them out specifically. And I'm not about to go nitpicking on everything since this is a fan project, and they're doing this out of the kindness of their hearts, but I am grateful for these group of people who go a step and beyond to bring this project. And to even further show some differences they have, you can check out their YouTube channel just to see how much they really cut out, and it's insane how much they cut off. I didn't realize it at first, since I wasn't about to go watch the original anime and then rewatch One Piece as well. But seeing some of these clips that they provided, it's pretty crazy to see how much they cut off. Overall, One Piece made everything super digestible and everything flowed so smoothly. So when I hit Fishman Island, I was genuinely shocked how fast I breezed through everything. And matched with the manga, it was a pretty fast experience. It was an amazing feeling and made me realize I don't regret this journey I brought upon myself. In my opinion, this method pretty much shuts down all the people who claim that it's gonna take you a million years to catch up to One Piece. Sure, this method is a bit weird since you're going back and forth between different mediums, but to be honest, it's a great way to consume One Piece if you want to rewatch it like how I did. Or if you're getting into it, maybe you can just watch fully One Piece and you can follow the guide strictly. One Piece was a massive help, especially if you don't want to rely on catching up using the manga. Then One Piece has you covered. Initially, I was just going to use One Piece then switch to the original anime, since I wanted to see the cuts One Piece does to keep the episodes better paced. But I wanted to experiment and see if I can incorporate the manga somewhere in this viewing process. People often complain about Skypiea, Long Ring, Longland, Thriller Bark, etc. But if you really don't even want to watch the anime, this would definitely be a better option, since even with One Piece, Dressrosa is still a long ass arc with a whopping 22 hours to go through. I could imagine the manga being the better option for some people. I, however, could have easily read some arcs and switched back to the anime, but I didn't want to change my experience and go back and forth since it could be jarring, and since I would have to search the time code where I left off in the manga, it would be a hassle, so I just did it for 3 arcs. Was this experience worth it? Yes. This is just one of the many ways to experience One Piece. I'm sure there's so many guides people have made on YouTube, but this is just one way I decided to experience One Piece again. But it all depends on the dedication on the person who watches it. You can go down this route, you can go down the manga route, you can go out whatever route you want. It could vary based on how fast you read through it too. There's the OVA route where you basically watch the 2 condensed versions of the arcs I mentioned and then head from there. The live action route as well, but as mentioned previously, it has its own faults and cuts out some things that would be a bit jarring for someone who just strictly watches the live action and heads straight to the anime. But if you're willing to go ahead with that, then you do you. However, I gotta commend the One Piece team for their efforts as they went above and beyond to deliver these episodes. I'm grateful there are passionate fans that would indulge in a massive project like this. So thank you guys. You guys definitely should try it out. I love One Piece, and I know it sounds like I'm glazing the fuck out of this series, but I really do want people to get into this series since it's a series that's just a once in a lifetime thing. It's really hard for there to be another series like One Piece. When I was young, I was fresh off the high, which was Dragon Ball and Naruto. I encountered One Piece around the time Impel Down was airing, and I fell in love instantly. I rented out DVDs, I read the manga, I did everything, and I've been following One Piece ever since. I hope this could potentially give you an incentive to get into the series. Anyways, that's enough for me now, and my little One Piece grind. Now I can finally rest and live my life again. If you perhaps like this type of video, maybe consider dropping a like maybe? And maybe subbing, I don't know. And if you do, you get 1,000 years of good luck, I promise. Well, thanks for watching. Until next time. Later.
Stupid.